Good evening, Rabbi. Chodesh Tov. We're now coming up to Chodesh Kislev, Bezat Hashem, Rosh Chodesh tomorrow, and Yom Shishi on Friday also. 2 days of Rosh Chodesh. And Bezat Hashem, I want to tell you something that tomorrow, is coming the Goyish holiday. Everybody knows, right? Thanksgiving, they call it, whatever, So the question is, do we have a portion in this holiday or no? We have a chelek in this holiday. Did you go and buy turkey? You went already to the meat store to buy turkey? You went to buy turkey? You went? So the truth is, that it's not really for us this holiday. The truth is, Be'emet. I'll tell you why. If you bought the turkey, save it for Shabbat maybe, cook it for Shabbat. It's better. Enjoy it on Shabbat, only Shabbat, do the mitzvah with it. So, so what's the reason why? Because it says, right, in the Chumash, in Sefer Vayikra, Yud Chet, it says, don't go in their ways of the goyim, customs, chukotehem, So what is chukotehem? It doesn't mean like avodah zarah only. Avodah zarah is something else. Everybody knows you're not allowed to do avodah zarah. That's for sure. But there's also chukotehem. So the Chazal explain, right, in Sifri over there, in the Midrash Sifri, they say, what does that mean? It means that you don't do the customs of the goyim, the minhagim that they have. Even though it's not avodah zarah. That has nothing to do with that, But we don't want you to be a part of the goyish culture, the goyish minhagim, all these kinds of things. This is the reason why we don't want people to celebrate this, to celebrate this holiday. That's what it says in the Sifri. And also brought down in the Rashi there, brought down this whole thing. Rashi explains it like that. And also brought down in the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch also as well. They all bring it down. So what does that mean? That you're not allowed to do minhagi goyim, even though there's no avodah zarah there. So this is the reason why we don't want to do that. There's also Tshuva of Moshe Feinstein Alav Shalom. He wrote in Igrot Moshe, his famous work Igrot Moshe. He writes over there same thing. That you shouldn't do Thanksgiving because of this reason. Chukotehem lo telechu. Right? There's a commandment from the Torah. So this is what we want to avoid. And the truth is, that why did Hashem tell us, by the way, what's the reason? There's probably many reasons, but why did Hashem tell us not to do the customs of the goyim? Why? It's not avodah zarah. What's the big deal? Because what happens is that once you start doing their customs, you start to assimilate, and intermarry also, with them, This is what happens, When you start to do their customs. So this HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, make a border between you and the goyim. Don't go in their customs. Because once you do that, you'll be closer with them. Assimilation, intermarriage, itbolilut, Shem Yirachem. All kinds of things like this. This is exactly why the Torah told us not to do that. So therefore, we always want to keep a distance from them and us. We don't want to be too close with them, with their customs, with everything that they do. It doesn't matter what it is. Keep your distance. That's the best thing to do. Another thing which I want to talk about is interesting question, which comes up in halakha, which is about perfumes. Right? So what happens is that the question is, should you, if a perfume is made out of synthetic material, synthetic material, not natural, okay? So should you make a bracha boreh mesamim of this, on that? That's the question. So the truth is, that there's a big machloket about this, whether you should make it or not. Boreh mesamim on perfume like this. I remember when we were in the house of Maran, Rabbi Shalom, over there, we used to pray on that Yom Kippur. We were there several years. We prayed Yom Kippur with the Rabbi, Maran. So you know what they used to do, right? The Gabbai over there, his name was Nahari, right? So he used to, Temani guy, he used to bring like perfume, which was synthetic, and he would bring it around for people, and people would smell it, on Yom Kippur, to wake up a little bit, So this is what he was using, like perfume like this. It was like a minhag over there like this. So the question is, do you make on this boreh min samim? So the truth is, that there are some who say you should. Why? Because they say, that just like what it says in the Talmud, in Masechet Brachot, it says, right, that on musk, right, they call that different names, right? Muscat, call kinds of names it has, right? Musk. You make on that boreh min samim. You should bless on that boreh min samim. Even though it doesn't come from the ground, it doesn't sprout from the ground, it doesn't come from a tree, it comes from an animal. Some say, by the way, it comes from like some fish, some whale. Some say it comes from some kind of a lamb, some kind of a ram, right? It comes from all kinds of things. There's all kinds of animals that they get the musk from. The musk has a good smell, but it comes from a bad place. The animal, the inside of the animal, not really something very nice, but it smells good anyway. Once you make it the right way. So the question is, do you bless on that? So the truth is that the Or Letzion and Rav Sheinberg, Alav Shalom, they both paskin that you should, as we said, because of the musk, Just like the musk, you're taking it from the animal and you're making a perfume out of it, which is like really like sort of synthetic in the sense that you're producing, it's produced, it's like processed, So you make a blessing on that. That's what it says in Gemara. So why not make a blessing on synthetic perfume? Some say like this, There are others who disagree with this. It says in the book Shmirat Shabbat Kilchata of the Rav Novert, right, who was a Talmid of Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Alba Shalom. He also writes over there that it's a safek, to make a bracha on synthetic perfume. So he says, therefore, safek brachot le'akir, don't make the bracha. And that's what also is brought down in the name of Rabbi Eliashib. Right? They said in his name that also you shouldn't make the bracha on synthetic perfumes because it's not really, there's no makor there, there's no source. There's nothing real there to be a makor, to be the source of the smell. This is the reason why he says you should not make a bracha. So what's the halakha b'med, right? We see there's a machloket. So the truth is, that our chachamim, some of our chachamim in our generation, they already paskin that you should make a blessing on synthetic perfume. Who was that? Rav Moshe Levi, right? Who was from Kisei Rachamim, the yeshiva in Bnei Brak, Sfari yeshiva over there, right? Rav Mazuz's yeshiva. He was a big chacham. He died very young, he had some kind of a problem. He died very young. He had some kind of a disease. Shem Yirachem Lo Aleinu, right? What happened was that he was a big chacham, even at a young age. He wrote some books, and one of the books that he wrote was called Birkat Hashem. So that's talking about brachot, laws of brachot, So he says over there that you should make a blessing on perfume which is synthetic. And what's the reason why? So he says, it's similar to what it says in the Rambam, Shulchan Aruch. It writes that if you have olive oil, shemen zait, and you have, it has a fragrance, you should make a blessing on it, even though there's no makor over there, it's just liquid. There's no something solid there, makor. But nevertheless, even though it has no makor, it has no base, it has no source, nevertheless, the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch, they say you should make the bracha. So therefore, says the Birkat Hashem, Rav Moshe Levi, you should make also on the synthetic perfume. So how does Maran paskin? And Chazon Obadi also, he paskins over there, like Rav Moshe Levi. He said you should make a bracha. So therefore, whoever wants to make a bracha on synthetic perfume, and all the more so if it's natural perfume, all the more so, like Kol Sheken, you're allowed to make according to you have what Ishlam Mori smoke, you have what to rely on. So even though it's a machlok a little bit, there's what to rely on for sure. You can make it, right? So no problem. But what's the bracha for perfume? Bore mine besamim, right? Lo isbe, lo atzeh, right? Not like that. Mine besamim. It doesn't come from a tree. It doesn't come from the ground, right? It comes from some kind of sources, laboratory or some animal, some whale, whatever it is, right? Something like that. That's the way it is. So therefore, the halacha is that if you want to make a bracha, you have what to rely on. Baruch Hashem, everything is good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Rosh Chodesh, right? We're coming up Rosh Chodesh. So interesting, right? That the Gaon of Vilna, he says something interesting from the Zohar. He brings this thing, He says that, in Rosh Chodesh we have Musaf, right? Extra prayer. So the question is, why did they make Musaf on Rosh Chodesh? What's the reason why? Because there's also Korban Musaf in Beit HaMikdash. There was also Korban Musaf on Rosh Chodesh. The question is why? Why do we need Musaf on Rosh Chodesh? What's the reason why we need that? So says the Gaon of Vilna that any day which has like a Musaf like this, what it means is that you get also Tosefek Neshama, Neshama Yetera. You get a little bit extra Neshama there. Just like you get on Shabbat, But Shabbat it's more. On Shabbat you get like big Neshama Yetera. Very large. Very humongous, huge. But on Rosh Chodesh it's a little bit less. And on Yom Tov it's a little bit less. You get also on Yom Tov. But not as much as Shabbat. But anyway, you do have some Neshama Yetera over there. So therefore, this is the reason why we say Musaf. Because and the whole thing is, says the Gaon of Vilna, what's the purpose, of having Neshama Yetera on Rosh Chodesh? What should you do with this Neshama Yetera? First of all, there's the mitzvah to also have a Seudah on Rosh Chodesh, even though it's not obligation. It's lo chova, not obligation, but there is a mitzvah to have a Seudah. So, you can, if you want to go to nice, eat something, some good food, your wife will make you some good food, your mother, or whatever is right, or whoever you may have in your house, or you make it yourself maybe, I don't know. Some guys like to cook, some men like to cook. So, if you like to cook, do it yourself maybe. Whatever it is, right? Or go to a restaurant, go to some nice restaurants over here. We have some good places over here. So, go there and, eat a Rosh Chodesh meal, right? In honor of Rosh Chodesh. So what's a nafkamina? There's also a nafkamina like this, that when you're eating a meal for Rosh Chodesh, that means HaKadosh Baruch Hu will refund you the money. You get a refund, for the money that you spent on the meal. Whatever you spent on the Seudah, just like on Shabbat, whatever you spent for Lichvod Shabbat, you get everything back. Everything comes back to you. It's a tax refund, from the IRS, like they have these, You get a refund. Everything is a refund. So why not, spend some money, for Rosh Chodesh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will refund you everything. So, when it's a good deal, no? Everything, a nice refund. So it's beautiful, why not do it, but it's not obligation, but good idea. So this is also a way of honoring the Neshamaya Terah that you have on Rosh Chodesh, by doing a Seudah. They say, by the way, something funny, for us it's funny, because we don't live in that generation. I don't know, you people, that you were born in Bukhara, some of you, right? Maybe you understand this. I don't, for me it's too much. So, it says, right, that the Chazon Ish, when he lived in Bnei Brak, when he moved to Bnei Brak, he was in Europe. He was in Russia, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He moved to Europe, and what happened was, he moved to Bnei Brak, and over there, he used to do also a Seudah for Rosh Chodesh, So, now you want to know what was the Seudah of Chazon Ish for Rosh Chodesh? Not big chicken, and meat soup, dumplings, all kinds of, no, not like that. You know what was the Seudah? He used to have a plate of olives, zatim, So, why such a cheap Seudah like this? Because in those days in Eretz Israel, they didn't have money. They were very poor. They didn't have money to bring fancy meals, reva off, some chicken, some turkey, whatever, Who has money for that? Who had money for that in those days? So his Seudah was olives, zatim. This was the Seudah they used to. Can you imagine? Something like this, right? That's one thing. Right, to do a Seudah. That's also very good. Another thing, it says the Gaon Avina that, this is for people who are more B'nai Torah a little bit, more Talmidei Chachamim. Also, maybe for everybody, I don't know, whoever can do it, whatever, but it says the Gaon Avina that also Rosh Chodesh, because you have Neshamaya Terah on Rosh Chodesh, he says it's a mitzvah to do Chidushei Torah, to be Mechadesh, to make new ideas in Torah, make new things. That's because of Neshamaya Torah. This helps you to get Chidushim in Torah. So it's an amazing thing, nice to know that, right? For the Gaon Avina, by the way, this was his Seudah, right? To do Chidushim, to make Chidushim. This was what he ate. This was his meal, So for him, everything was Torah. That's the way it is, So for him, physical was not the meal. The physical was the spiritual was the meal. That's the way it was. So that's what he says in Gaon Avina, right? To make Chidushim in Torah. By the way, I want to just explain to you one thing. We're going to finish in a second. I just wanted to explain to you, right? What is a chidush, by the way, in Torah? How do you make a chidush in Torah? Do you understand what that means? Even some people don't even know what that is. So I'll try to explain to you what that means. Some people think, by the way, there's a wrong way to learn in Torah. There's a right way to learn. So what's the wrong way to learn? The wrong way to learn is to make up things from your head, that you never heard before anywhere. And you say, oh yeah, this is the answer. Yeah, who told you this? What, from your head you make up something? What do you think? You're a Navi? What, prophet? What are you? You know what I mean? So a person has to be careful not to learn this way. The Gaon Avina, by the way, he writes that a person who learns this way and makes up things from his head, things that he never heard before anywhere, with no basis, with no source, he gets punished for this. They're manishimoto, they punish him. Why? Because he's making up stories about the Torah, all kinds of false things. Who gave you permission to say in the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu all kinds of stories, some kind of fables? Who gave you permission to do such a thing like that? We have no permission to do that. Oh yeah, I think this is what it is. Who told you? How do you know that? Right? So that's the wrong way to learn Torah. The wrong way to make a chidush is like this. What I just told you now. This is the wrong way. So then, what is the right way? That's the question, right? How do you make a real chidush in Torah? Right? The truth is, Rabbi Nachman Breslev, he writes that the purpose of people who came to this world, what's the main purpose? He says, you know what it is? To make chidushim in Torah. This is the main purpose, he says. Can you imagine? So it's a big thing. So you know what that means? That means that every neshama that comes to this world, he has a different approach in Torah. He has a different angle. He has a different way of looking at things. He doesn't look at things like somebody else does, So don't try to make him into a copycat, You shouldn't be copycat when you learn Torah. You have to do things that come out from your shoresh neshama, from the root of your neshama. That's what you have to do. So it says in Rabbi Nachman Breslev, the whole point is you're coming here to make your chidushim. Those chidushim that you make in Torah, whether they're in halakha or in some other discipline in Torah, nobody else can make them but you. You're the only one who can make those chidushim. You understand? Because your neshama is unique. Nobody else can do that. So therefore, the truth is, they say, some people, I was told by some chachamim, that if a person doesn't do that, he doesn't succeed in making his chidushim in Torah, he has to come back in a gilgul. And come back again and do it again, So what did you do? What did you do all your life? What, you ate barbecues? Shish kebabs? What did you do? What were you doing all your life? You didn't do your chidushim? The chidushim that are especially made for your shoresh neshama? You know what it is, right? The Chazal say, in the Zohar Kadosh, they say that every Jew, there's one letter in the Torah that corresponds to his neshama, That's his neshama. Can you imagine? We all have one letter in the Torah that's our neshama. over there. Can you imagine? So we're all important, we're all connected. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Torah and the Jewish people, it's one unit. We're all one. And this is the reason why the Goyim, they're not allowed to study Torah. You know why? Because they're not a part of that. They're asur for them. You know what the Rambam says, right? A Goy that studies Torah, chayav mitah, is liable to death. Because he's not a part of that. He has no chelik in the Torah. They rejected the Torah. So therefore, right, what I'm trying to tell you is that what's the proper way to make the Chidush is like this. First you learn, the Gemara, you learn the Tanakh, you learn the Rishonim, you learn the Achronim, you learn Zohar, you learn Midrashim, all the things you learn, to get knowledge and, understanding of things. And what happens is, that then you get some questions, sometimes here, there. So because you have knowledge, now you can build on that knowledge and make some kind of a new answer, But the whole thing is the Chidush has to be based on your knowledge already that you already have. Like the Chazal say, they say that they don't give Chokhmah to a person unless he already has Chokhmah. So what does that mean? He already has to have Chokhmah. So you know what that means? When you already have Chokhmah of Torah, then they give you Chidushim to be Mechadesh on top of that. But when you don't have any Chokhmah of Torah, what kind of Chidushim are you going to make? Nothing. You're zero. You're an empty vessel. You have nothing to make from there, So the Chidush only comes from building on top of the Torah knowledge that you already have. That's what it means to make a Chidush. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen, amen. Chodesh Tov. Rabbi Hananiah ben Kashomer.